You creep through the dungeon, your father's sword in one hand and a flaming torch in the other. You've slain dozens of foes to make it here, and soon you're at your prize. You kick down the door to the chamber. There he stands, Gadrazok, the orc chieftain, who burnt down your village. You take him by surprise and you swing your blade cutting deep into his neck, and you behead the foul beast, getting vengeance once and for all. As you rummage through his pockets on his fallen corpse, what is this that you find? It's a mystery quest. You're walking through the woods on a moonless night. You hear hounds in the distance. They must have your scent by now. You break into a run, looking for safety. You see a light in the distance, a cabin. As you approach, the door opens by itself. You step inside and take a seat by the fire. It is only now you realize you're on a mystery quest. You struggle through the undergrowth of the jungle, the heat oppressive beneath the canopy. Your machete swings and bites into a wall of vines that drop away and reveal the ancient temple before you. You now realize you're on a mystery quest. A wave crashes on the bow of your ship, which groans under the weight of the storm. Ahead, the mist begins to clear. What's that? A cyclopean structure rising from the waves. It appears just as it did in your dreams. They told you were mad, but no, you were right to go on this mystery quest. The train gently sways as it clatters down the tracks. You stare out at a moonlit night. All of a sudden, a scream from the cabin next door. You burst through the door. The Dutchess has been killed, and the Imperial Ruby has been stolen. A shadowy figure flees down the corridor. You give chase, drawing your pistol. Suddenly now, you're on a mystery quest. You grip the wheel of your souped-up V8 Interceptor. Your engine roars as you tear through the apocalyptic wasteland. All of a sudden, a shot rings out, shattering your windscreen and barely missing you by an inch. You swerve, and your car flips. You're thrown free, but you land hard on the desert wasteland. You gasp for breath. Several figures begin to approach you from the dunes. Your gun just out of reach. Could this be the end of your mystery quest? You burst out of your farmhouse, alerted by the cries of your cattle. Lantern in one hand and shotgun in the other. Those cattle rustlers won't get away with it again. All of a sudden, silence. You find yourself alone. And what's that? In the sky, a metallic shape slowly descends. A hatch begins to open. You're caught in the tractor beam. The ground begins to fall away as you're pulled up into the ship. You're surrounded by figures. They try to talk to you. Are these aliens? Or is this a mystery quest? You floor the accelerator, speeding down the dirt road. You're fleeing from Camp Sunny Creek. You're drenched in blood, but you're lucky to be alive, unlike your friends. All of a sudden, a deer in the road. You slam on the brake, halting just in time. Take a moment to catch your breath. You adjust the mirror. Is that a figure in the back seat? Could that be the summer camp slasher? Or is this a mystery quest? You take a sip of whiskey as you stare at the pair of kings in your hand. You've been on a winning streak all night and you don't expect it to end anytime soon. The saloon doors burst open. 3 figures walk inside. It's the marshal and his cronies. They're here for you. Quick as a flash, you're on your feet, pistols drawn, but so are theirs. As you stare down the barrels of each other's weapons, you think to yourself, is this the end of the line? Or is this a mystery quest? You nervously check your oxygen again as you descend deeper into the inky depths. Your years of research have proven true, and ahead of you lies the skeletal husk of the ship, the Santino Margarita. You and your partner Felix find a hole in the hull. You weave through the rotten timbers until... what's that? Caught in your headlamp. It's gold. The legends were true. Felix rushes ahead and gathers up handfuls of gold. In his recklessness, he knocks a pillar. Oh no! The ship is coming down on top of you. Has this all been for naught? Will this place become your tomb? Or are you on a mystery quest? You're sitting down to watch your favorite role-playing video. A delicious drink in one hand, the cat Mittens curled up gently on your lap, purring away. All of a sudden, the image on your television changes. It's a shot of a well. A corpse-like figure drags itself over the lip of the well. They begin slowly walking towards you, their lank hair covering their face as they stumble onwards. Mittens leaps from your lap, hissing. The figure draws closer and closer. The hand is coming towards the screen. Wait, no. It's coming out of the screen. Are you in the Japanese horror movie Ringu? Or are you watching Mystery Quest? Your hobnail boots clatter on the cobblestones as you move with haste through the foggy back streets of London. You make it to a door. You descend into the bowels of the earth. As you do, chanting gets louder and louder. Every step further down this staircase brings you closer to some kind of unknowable evil. You make it to a stone slab of a door that's slightly ajar. And as the chanting begins to hit its crescendo, you fear you're too late. You burst inside, and it's as you feared. The cult, they have her. Your wife Fanny, tied to the table. The high priest of Wismanoz, holding a serrated blade above her. You draw your gun. The knife plunges down. A shot rings out. Have you ended this dark ritual? Or are you on a mystery quest? You and Jimmy Two Hands sit in silence as you drive into the backwoods. You've just pulled a successful hit on Tony Lozano. His lifeless body lies in the trunk of your car. You pull up to a deserted clearing. You're in the middle of nowhere. You get out. You begin to dig a hole. It's backbreaking work, but soon it's deep enough for a no-good dirty rat like him. You push the body into the pit with a thud. But what's that? The sound of a cocking gun behind you. Has Jimmy Two Hands sold you out to the Lozano crime family? Is this also to be your shallow grave? Or are you on a mystery quest? You slowly advance down the dark stone passageway. The sound of cheering voices getting louder and louder with every step. You emerge into startling daylight. And there, 100,000 bloodthirsty voices cheering out your name in the Colosseum. You turn to face your opponent. The 8-foot-tall man-mountain. The giant of Gaul. The barbarian warlord. The fight begins, and you charge at each other. Your speed will easily outmatch his strength. You swing once, twice, 3 times, but each time he manages to block or dodge his way out of it. And then he swings his axe back at you in return. You try to parry with your shield, but it shatters, breaking your arm. You stagger backwards. The beast still comes down upon you. You slash his guts and leap away, a killing blow for any normal man. But through bloody teeth, he just stares at you and laughs. And then, quick as a flash, his axe comes down again, and you're on your back. You're bleeding. His giant figure over you, axe blade at your throat. You stare up, and you can see the Emperor. He holds his thumb out. Your fate in his hands. Will you be going to the fields of Elysium? Or are you on a mystery quest? You struggle with all of your might to pull the giant blade of grass to one side. Oh no, your Shrink-a-tron 5000 has worked far too well. You're now just 5 millimeters tall, lost in the jungle of your back garden. Something drips on your head. You look up and you see the colossal being, a snail, and it's eating your prize-winning petunias. If only you'd put down the repellent like your wife had told you. You walk for hours. You can see your house in the distance, but it feels like you're getting no closer at all. All of a sudden, you hear a chittering. Oh, it's a friendly ant. But what's that rumbling? Behind it, erupting like lava out of a volcano, the ants begin streaming from their anthill. They begin to give chase. Will you just be another morsel of bug food to feed their ever-growing queen? Or are you on a mystery quest? You trudge down the gravel path to your ancient family manor. You just inherited it. after your great uncle's mysterious death. The wind whips across the moors and stings your face. You withdraw the heavy iron keys and you slowly push them into the rusted lock. You turn and the door creaks open. You hear a wailing on the wind. You look around. What's that up in the window? A shadow? Or could it be a face? Could that be the fabled ghost of Frankenstein Manor? Or are you on a mystery quest? You knew you should have turned back 6 weeks ago from your Arctic expedition, but you desired the fame and glory. The icy wind blasts against your face as you huddle around the remnants of your fire with the remainder of your crew. Above the wind, you hear a roar. A shape in the distance. Could that be Michael's son returning with food? No. It's far too big, and it has great antlers. Could that be the fabled Wendigo? Or are you on a mystery quest? Storm clouds boil around your rooftop laboratory. Years of scientific study and evil deeds have led up to this moment. The mismatched patchwork cadaver lies in front of you. With a flash, lightning strikes, causing power to surge through your arcane machinery. Cogs begin to spin and the machine whirs. You call to your decrepit henchman, "Flip the switch, Mungo!" He does while cackling maniacally. A bolt of electricity surges through the body in front of you, and then silence. A moan, a twitch of a finger. Have you created life? Or are you on a mystery quest? You sit trembling in your trench, bombs raining all around you and bullets whizzing overhead. With mud-covered, quaking hands, you struggle to reload your rifle, fearing the moment they blow the whistle and send you over the top. Suddenly, the sound of a whistle rings out. Panicked, you begin to scramble up the ladder, out of the safety of your trench, into no man's land. And my God, they're there right in front of you. The Martian tripods. Their atomic beams sweep from side to side, decimating your forces. They're converging on you. My God, is this the end? Or are you on a mystery quest? You gun your throttle as you push your biplane to its limits as you race towards Manhattan Island. In the distance, you hear a terrifying roar. You are scrambled at a moment's notice, and you have no idea what to expect. And my God, there you see it, and it's worse than you could possibly have imagined. A 300-foot crocodile is climbing the Empire State Building. You wheel your plane around, and you open up on it with your machine guns. The bullets ricochet harmlessly off its armored hide. My God, they do nothing. It turns its mighty head towards you and begins to open its mouth. You take your chance. You fly straight at its gaping maw and fire at its weak point, ripping a channel through its disgusting tongue. You begin to pull away, but quick as a flash, it snaps its jaws shut, taking off your wing. You begin to go down. You struggle with your parachute. Will the mighty King Croc be the end of you? Or are you on a mystery quest? You skip down the forest path, basket full of baked goodies, still warm from the oven. You make it to the quaint cottage door, and you give it a little knock. There's no answer. You step inside. Oh, there's Grandma, sat in bed, just waiting for some of your treats to gobble up. Grandma's looking a little bit hairier than normal. She doesn't normally make those noises. Did she always have teeth that big? Something just doesn't seem right about this at all. Wait a second. That's not Grandma. That's a wolf! And he's lunging right at you! You drop into a low crouch, drawing your switchblade from your basket. The beast crashes towards you, and you throw your knife. Is your aim true? Or are you on a mystery quest? You sit before the central computer mainframe, frantically typing away. Oh God, you don't have long left. The countdown has begun. New year is upon you. The year is 1999. You tried to warn them, but no one was prepared. As the countdown reaches 3, 2, 1, suddenly everything goes black. A siren in the distance. Oh no, the missiles, they're being launched. Is this doomsday, or are you on a mystery quest? You step out onto the tightrope. Adoring fans cheer your name, raising the roof on this big top. You reach the center of the tightrope, and it begins to sag. Up ahead, the rope is frayed. It's been cut. You glance around and see, hidden in the shadows, Bongo the clown, brandishing a knife. They always wanted to be the center stage performer. You turn and try to make your way back to where you came from. But oh no, the rope snaps and the crowd gasps. Why did you listen to Bongo, convincing you to remove your safety net? Is this the end of your high-flying career? Or are you on a mystery quest? You're walking through the woods in search of your missing dog, Ruffles. And now you're helplessly lost, and it's beginning to get dark. All of a sudden, a rustling down near your feet. Oh, it's a little furry creature, and it seems to be beckoning you to follow it. Maybe this could lead you to safety. You follow it down a hidden path. Oh, there seems to be another one of these little creatures. And another joins behind you. All of a sudden, in a clearing, there seems to be a village, populated by hundreds of these little furry creatures. And what's that in the distance? It's Ruffles. But Ruffles is tied to a spit. You break into a run to get to him. But bowlers spin out of nowhere, lashing your feet together, and you fall to the ground. Oh no! Now they're dragging you towards a big pot in the center of town. Are you and Ruffles going to be dinner? Or are you on a mystery quest? The kingdom is under attack. In silence, your royal guards surround you. You know they'd lay down their lives, but you can still smell their fear. In the distance, you can hear the enemy is coming. Tearing through your tunnels, breaking through walls. My god, they're just outside the royal chamber. You can hear their warriors breaking down the wall. They're through. The termite empire has invaded. They're here to steal your royal jelly and your young. Your warriors clash with theirs. My god, it's a bloodbath. Is this the end of the Red Ant Nation? Or are you on a mystery quest? You tentatively sneak from your hole in the wall, holding your father's hand. You make it across the great carpet fields, heading towards treasure. You make it to Sofa Mountain and begin to climb. Father always says that there's delights hidden between the cushions. It's a long and arduous climb, but you make it to the top. All of a sudden, a noise from the distance. Your father turns to you with abject terror and says just one word. Run! Quick as a flash, you deploy your cotton reel and rappel down the side of the sofa, back on the floor. You break into a full sprint. But Mittens, the destroyer of your people, has given chase. Will you make it back to the safety of your wall home in time? Or are you on a mystery quest? You struggle to focus on your screen under the sterile fluorescent lights of your office cubicle. You try to block out the annoying sounds of your co-workers. You need to get these TPS reports done. Suddenly you hear the low thud of orthopedic loafers. You look up. Assistant Office Manager Margaret is heading your direction. It's the third time you've been late with your reports this quarter. Are you going to be subject to disciplinary matters? Or are you on a mystery quest? You shoulder your rifle as you rummage through the barren shelves of the Hypermart. It's been 3 weeks since the last supply run, and food is running dangerously low. There's almost nothing here. You're not the first to pick over the scraps of this building. But what's that? Wedged between two shelves. A tin of preserved peaches. You've not tasted their sweet nectar since before the fall. All of a sudden, you hear a groan from aisle 5. Sporting goods and homeware. You ready your rifle, and you slowly creep around the empty bakery section. There in front of you, you see it. One of the infected. You hold your breath as you take aim at its head. You pull the trigger. You hadn't reloaded your gun. The creature charges at you, and you begin to grapple. With all your might, you swing your can of peaches, bursting both them and the monster's head. You're safe for now. What's that? More of them have been alerted in the distance, and they're heading your way. Will they be the ones eating sweetly tonight? Or are you on a mystery quest? You take off your hard hat and mop sweat from your brow. It's been a long, hard day lumberjacking with your crew. Your assistant Michael wants to press on. He revs his chainsaw and lets it bite into an old, gnarled oak. All of a sudden, a branch whips down, lifting him into the air. He screams as he's cleaved in twain. In horror, you remember the old stories. These aren't just trees. You turn to your crew and shout, "Ents!" All of a sudden, you're surrounded. And the trees, they're alive, dragging gnarled roots from the earth as they step towards you. Your entire crew panics, and in seconds is decimated. Will you be the one who's fell today? Or are you on a mystery quest? Maneuverability, 27%. Primary armament, 52%. Communications, offline. Auditory receptors, compromised. Ocular systems, coming online. You begin to focus. All you can see is flames and smoke. You begin to drag your broken body out of the crater of whatever terrible weapon they tried to destroy you with. Now you see them. The pathetic meatbags. They endlessly fire their basic ballistic weapons at you. Bullets bouncing harmlessly off your armored carapace. You let out a mechanical laugh and begin to spool up your rotary cannon. Will you be able to complete the robot uprising? Or are you on a mystery quest? With your pistol in your hand, you sneak down the corridor. You make it to the great sliding double doors and adjust your bow tie. Bursting inside, ahead of you, the bald-headed figure of Dr. Monstro. You're here to stop him and his evil plans. Suddenly, he presses a button. An alarm sounds and his goons burst in. With a few precise shots, you manage to dispatch them. But oh no. In the firefight, Dr. Monstro's managed to escape and board his moon rocket. A countdown has begun. You fire your grappling hook watch and try and make it towards the door before it closes. Will you be able to stop Dr. Monstro before he escapes to the moon? Or are you on a mystery quest? You walk down the old train tracks, thermos under your arm. The wind howls through the trees. Oh, what's that? A friendly owl in the distance. You make your way to the old railway tunnel and head inside. There's plans to refurbish these tracks, and it's your job to investigate. You head deeper and deeper into the dank abyss. Suddenly there's a rumbling in the distance. There's not meant to be any trains running at this time. A light at the end of the tunnel. A train, and it's heading straight towards you. You press yourself against the wall as the train goes charging past you. You catch a glimpse of its name, the Moorline Express. Well, this train went missing 50 years ago. You hear the screech of the brakes, and the train slows to a halt. A door on a carriage glides open. A ghostly voice echoes from within. All aboard. Next stop, hell. You stand in abject terror. Will you be beckoned onto this ghost train? Or are you on a mystery quest? You skid to a halt on your motorbike in front of the old manor house. Grabbing your bag, you hurry inside. Unearthly sounds echo through the walls. You burst into the bedchamber. The family stood around terrified as the Countess's daughter lies on the bed.
Out your soul!
Grabbing your crucifix and your vial of holy water, you begin to douse her. She levitates in the air, screaming. Will you be able to banish the demon Brock Zuzu from the poor Countess's daughter? Or are you on a mystery quest? You've been lost for hours. You were trying to make your name, being the first person to explore these unmapped caves. But now, you're alone in the dark. Or are you? A noise from deeper down in the cavern. A skittering. Footsteps. Rocks tumble. You break into a run and drop your flashlight. You can hear them all around you now. Their sightless chirping. Is this the reason the cave was never mapped? Will you ever see daylight again? Or are you on a mystery quest? You've been out on the waves for 2 weeks now, searching for the terror of Huckleberry Bay. Suddenly, a ping from your sonar draws your attention, and then a crash against the side of your boat as you see the beast and its black doll's eyes. The mighty jaws of the Megalodon bites a chunk out of the side of your boat. It's the moment you've been waiting for. You grab your harpoon gun but you're too late. A surge of water, and the Megalodon rises up, its jaws clamping on the end of your boat, taking a huge chunk out of it. You're knocked off your feet. The vessel's going down. You scramble up the mast, harpoon in hand, but you're taking on water far too quickly as the beast circles around you, coming in for one final attack. It rears its foul head. As you take aim, will you be another shark casualty statistic, or are you on a mystery quest? You stand at the podium, making your interesting points about Parking Reform Bill 27B to the town council. My God, you think you'll be able to get it passed. But across the room, your main opposition, Marjorie Sinclair, she looks furious. All of a sudden, her skin begins to peel back, revealing a reptilian face beneath. She lunges across the podium at you, dagger in hand. My God, the lizard people rule the town council. Will you be able to get your parking bill passed? Or are you on a mystery quest? You stomp through the city with great haste. Sirens sound out, and that can only mean one thing. You prepare yourself inside your mech, and there it is, emerging from the ocean. My God, it's the biggest you've ever seen. They call it King Crabulon. It beelines inland, straight towards the Museum of Priceless Fragile Art. You turn all of your power gauges up to 100, and you fire your rocket fist. But oh no, it bounces harmlessly off of its chitinous armor. Will you be able to save the centuries of priceless culture? Or are you on a mystery quest? The crowd is hooting and hollering. Sweat trickles down your neck as, in anticipation, you hold on with all your might to big and bad Bodacious, the meanest bull in town. The rodeo horn sounds, and the gate opens. My God, he's bucking harder than you could ever have imagined. Will you be able to hold on to Bodacious? Or are you on a mystery quest? Clutching your guitar, you and your band make your way off the stage to mixed applause. You've been practicing for weeks, and you feel like you did pretty good. And there's only one band left to play. Mega Bloodsport 5000. The crowd waits in silent anticipation, and then the drums kick in, the ground vibrating beneath your feet. In comes the bass guitar, shockwaves pulsing through the building, knocking audience members to the floor. And finally, the guitar. It literally blows the roof off, and the crowd is going wild. Are your hopes of winning Battle of the Bands over? Or are you on a mystery quest? It's early in the morning as you make your rounds about the farm. You head towards the chicken coop, dragging a bag of grain in one hand. The chickens stare at you, hungrily. With a creak of the door, you make your way inside, and as one, they all turn and look at you expectantly. Out of nowhere, a sudden blow to the back of your head. You drop the bag of grain and fall to the ground. Everything goes dark. Sometime later you come to. My God, you're restrained to the conveyor belt of the Chicken Pie-O-Matic 5000. One of the chickens mans the controls. Pressing the button, it spools to life. You're moving towards the whirling blades. The chickens, they've risen up against you. You always knew this day would come. Will you be filling for the next batch of chicken pies? Or are you on a mystery quest? You stand on the set of the legally distinct Great Baking Competition. Your muffins and macaroons have defeated every foe you've faced up until this point. But now you're in the final against the greatest enemy you've come up against. Marjorie Sinclair and her infamous red velvet cake. But you are taking a risk, making the airiest soufflés known to man. Will they hold firm, securing you the prize? Or are you on a mystery quest? You hop your way through the bushes and manage to squeeze through the old wooden fence. Your eyes widen at the sight before you, a bounty of cabbage, carrots, and all manner of fresh produce. You set upon them with a ravenous hunger and quickly fill your belly. You freeze in terror as the door of a nearby building slams open. Farmer Boggins steps out. "Damn thieving rabbits!" he cries. But what follows is worse. Rexy, his great hound, barks loudly and then breaks into a sprint towards you. You begin to flee, but you're so full. Will you manage to make your escape? Or are you on a mystery quest? You pull on your yellow marigolds and gather your caddy full of sprays. The client is out. They said it would be a big job, but grease and limescale are your bread and butter. Approaching the sink, something draws your attention. A gurgling from the plug hole. As you peer down, a damp sinew of something. Just a blockage, no problem. But as you pull the strand, the gurgling gets deeper, more aggressive. The pipe bursts, soaking you. You fall backwards, startled, as the sink and the entire kitchen unit erupt from the wall in a deluge of cloudy grey fluid. It sloughs onto the floor, writhing hatefully on the lino. You recognize it immediately. A filth elemental. You ready your can of industrial strength degreaser and leap back to your feet. Will you clean up this dirty mess? Or are you on a mystery quest? There's a hiss of pressure as you crack open the door to the derelict ship that you found deep in space. You and your co-pilot, Jimmy Morgans, float onto the craft. There's a fortune to be made here. Suddenly, you're startled. The shapes of the former crew, perfectly preserved in the icy vacuum, suspended in midair. Unperturbed, you press on. You know there's a fortune to be made here. Hours pass, and now, loaded with salvaged loot, you make your way back to your ship. You swear there were 4 former crew floating here, not 3. A shape moves in the distance, and you begin to panic. You radio Jimmy Morgans and make your way back onto the ship. You begin to fire up the engines as he makes his way on board, sealing the door behind him. You undock your craft and begin to pull away. But then, a distress signal from the other ship. It's Jimmy Morgans.
Hey boss, where are you going? Why did you leave me behind?
You look over at your co-pilot on the ship. They stare blankly back at you. Have you brought some kind of terrible entity onto your spaceship? Or are you on a mystery quest? You lazily wake up to the soothing sound of lapping waves. You slowly make your way out of your bamboo shack. And as is customary every morning, you carve another notch on the wooden door frame. There's over 500 now. You saunter onto the beach, where you're greeted by your best friend in the world. It's Dr. Coconuts, the monkey, and he's got a platter of fresh fruit prepared for you. You sit down and share in this sumptuous feast. But all of a sudden, you're disturbed. A noise overhead. My God, it's a plane. The first human contact you've seen since you were shipwrecked here. You grab a flaming torch and hurry to the signal pyre you set up months ago. But as you go to ignite it, you hear a noise behind you and turn. It's Dr. Coconuts, looking up at you forlornly. You know you could never take him back to civilization with you. Do you light the fire and leave all that you've built here behind? Or are you on a mystery quest? 3 past the dragon's head, and 7 to the right of the twisted snake. You meticulously count the tiles on the floor. It's taken you 3 months so far, and you've only made it a few hundred meters into this ancient tomb. But if your name isn't Salazar Lombardo, greatest trap disarmer in the 6 kingdoms, no other person alive could have made it this far into this deadly tomb of horrors. You confidently make your way forwards, safe in the knowledge that you've cracked their code. But as you take a step forwards, what's that in the corner of your eye? An engraving of a 2-headed goat? That wasn't in your notes. Your foot comes down, and there's a click from the pressure plate beneath it. Have you miscounted and fallen prey to one of Cobron, the Snake Emperor's traps? Or are you on a mystery quest? You and your riders have ridden 3 days and 3 nights non-stop, ever since getting the letter from your uncle, the Duke of Crowsbridge. He said he believed that the king's men were coming to attack him. It couldn't be. They wouldn't be so bold. But as you crest the hill near his keep, it is worse than you could have ever imagined. They're already besieging the walls. Exhausted, you organize your men into lines, and you give the cry, "With me! Ride! For Crowsbridge!" The men let out a cheer as you break into a gallop. Some of the king's men turn, letting off volleys of arrows. Brave warriors around you fall, but you crash into their lines. Have you turned up in time to break the siege? Or are you on a mystery quest? With excitement, you make haste through the dungeon. You and your party have slain your way through room after room of bugbears and nilbogs. But you cannot wait for what lays deeper inside. You continue to sprint through these corridors. Nothing can slow you down. But oh no, as you make a turning, suddenly, you're floating? You struggle within the goo, and your skin begins to tingle. My god, the gelatinous cube, it's digesting you. You manage to turn around, and you see your party. They stare at you in disbelief. How could you have fallen for such a basic monster? They begin to prepare their 50 foot of rope and throw it to you. But the slime is just so thick. Will you be able to get out before you dissolve? Or are you on a mystery quest? You and your two cellmates splash through the sewers, dragging along your homemade raft. You make it to the waterline, and you can already hear alarms sounding in the distance. They know you're escaping. The three of you manage to push your simple boat into the freezing waters. This is your only chance. You make it a few dozen meters out, and then an icy wave crashes over you. Peterson loses his grip and is dragged away. At the same time, shots begin to ring out from the shore, peppering the water around you. Jameson cries out, "We have to leave him. He's done for." But you couldn't. The three of you have been working on this plan for years. Will you leave your friend behind to make your escape? Or are you on a mystery quest? With trepidation, you make your way through the busy tavern towards the basement stairs. With sweaty palms, you clutch your newly bought short sword and begin to descend. The sound of raucous patrons begins to die away, and your mind begins to wander about what terrors lie down in the darkness. You reach the basement, and it's just as the barkeep said. My god, 3 giant rats. Well, like, not that big, but to you, giant rats. You let out a cry, and you charge. Will you complete your level 1 adventure? Or are you on a mystery quest? You run at full pelt, still exhausted from your climb down the beanstalk, but spurred on by the colossal footsteps behind you. They're gaining on you. The goose under your arm struggles and lets out a honk. What's that in the distance? An old dilapidated manor house. You could seek refuge there. You reach the door, and with one last look back, you can see the giant cresting the hill. He lets out a roar.
Dirty little thief. When I catch you, I'm gonna crush you into jelly.
In fear, you scurry inside into the cool quietness for a moment of respite. There's a metallic thud, and you look down at your feet. A golden egg. The legends were true. My god, you're rich. But all of a sudden, a crash. Coming through the window, the giant's mighty open hand reaching at you. Will you be crushed into jelly? Or are you on a mystery quest? You've set up your tent in a clearing, deep in the Appalachians. You love camping, miles away from another human being. The peace, quiet, and privacy, a hard contrast from your busy city life. After finishing your campfire pot of pork and beans, you settle in for the night. Many hours later, you're awoken to the sound of footsteps mere feet away outside of your tent. You lay there in terror. There shouldn't be another human soul for miles around, but you definitely heard something. Turning on your flashlight, you unzip your tent and apprehensively put your head outside, looking around. You can't see anything. All of a sudden, you hear the crack of a branch. You turn your flashlight, and 20 feet back in the tree line, someone stood there, staring at you. In terror, you call out, "Who's there?" But there's no response. They just stand there, staring at you from the darkness. Minutes go by as you continue to stare at each other. Fear grips your soul. Will you make it out of these woods alive? Or are you on a mystery quest? You cast out your line and then light up your corncob pipe and sit back to enjoy a bit of midnight fishing on Old Silver Lake. You've been coming here for 60 years, since you were a little un. You kick back and enjoy watching the moonlight reflect on the placid waters and think to yourself, life is pretty good. All of a sudden, a tug on your line. You struggle to get to it before it's pulled overboard. You wrestle back and forwards, pulling your catch in. My god, it's putting up a fight, but you're beginning to win. And then you see him, Rising up out of the water, a giant catfish. It's Stinky Pete. 300 pounds of local legend. My God, you didn't believe he was real. You worry that your boat might capsize, but you're getting the better of him. Will you be the one to net this mighty fish? Or are you on a mystery quest? The days are long and the nights are warm. This has been the best summer you can ever remember. While hanging with your friends, you look at your watch, and oh no, you're way past curfew. You swing your backpack over one shoulder and jump on your bike and start speeding home. If Mom and Dad discover that you're gone, then you'll be grounded, and you won't be able to go to Jessica Robin's summer party. You skid to a halt on your driveway. Luckily, all the lights are off. You sneak up to the front door, slowly slide your key in. You've made it. No one's noticed you. You creep inside and silently shut the door behind you. You've made it. But then, a click, and the hallway light comes on. Oh no, they're still awake. Are you about to be caught and grounded and not able to go to Jessica Robin's summer party? Or are you on a mystery quest? You triple check your gauges and dials, and then you align your proton rods. The quark stabilizers are running at maximum capacity, and the fusion generation is well within safety limits. Your peers laughed at you, even ridiculed you, but you'll show them who's boss when you prove to them that not only is time travel achievable, but completely safe. You lower your goggles and pull the time lever. For a split second, and for what feels like an eternity, you exist in all space and time at once. With a jolt, you come to, and you look around. Wait a second, this isn't the Old West, your intended destination. You're surrounded by jungle plants. And what's that in the distance? You hear the pounding of heavy footsteps and a mighty roar. What's that emerging from the trees? The Tyrannosaurus Rex! You quickly begin to spin dials and you realign the chrono cube. But oh no, you're all out of time juice. Are you going to be part of some paleontologist's dig 65 million years from now? Or are you on a mystery quest? You stand on the creaking deck of your old steamship as you make your way through Devil's Reef. You try and peer through the fog, looking out for the jagged rocks that could take you to your early demise. Thank goodness for the ancient lighthouse that guides your way. Suddenly, out of the mists, a gunshot echoes. You bring up your spyglass and look towards the ancient tower, your eyes drawn to the top, and you can make out the silhouette of the lighthouse keeper, tussling with some kind of inhuman forms that have emerged from the waves. The fight goes back and forth, and then he's thrown from the edge. His scream rings out through the moonless night. But even worse, the figures have extinguished the light. Was this their plan all along? My God, will you be dashed against the rocks of Devil's Reef? Or are you on a mystery quest? You know your next urban exploring video is going to be a great hit. After months of research, you've finally been able to break your way into Sanders Asylum, which closed down 50 years ago after rumors of strange and abhorrent experiments performed upon the residents. It's weird. No one's ever covered it before. This is going to be your big break. After hours of exploring, you manage to finally make your way into the hidden basement. Apparently this is where it all happened. You adjust your headlamp and fiddle with your EVP meter. The recordings are going off the chart. This is more than you've ever experienced before. You consider turning back, but then you think of the views. You round another corner, and then you hear it. Emerging from a room, ever so slowly, an empty wheelchair wheels its way out and stops in the middle of the hallway. This is too much, even for you. You begin to run, but you're lost in the warren of corridors. Have you gone too far getting hits for your newest video? Or are you on a mystery quest? You finally scale the peak of the highest mountain. You and your band of cousins, seeking fame and fortune, following the Duke's bounty, retrieve the creature's eggs. A single one would set you all up for life, and in front of you, half a dozen stone-like orbs. You've timed it perfectly. The monster is out on the hunt. In your greed, you'll charge forwards, clutching up the eggs in front of you. With a screech and a spray of blood, Jamath is eviscerated in a second, landing in its nest, defending its young. My god, the mighty cockatrice! Cousin Daniel looks up and in a breathless scream, instantly turned to stone. With an egg under each arm, you begin to flee, leaving Cousin Sura to be stabbed by the beast's mighty barbed poisonous tail. You hear your party members' screams begin to die out as you scramble down the mountain. Although cousinless, will you make it down the mountain and have your fortune? Or are you on a mystery quest? You stand behind the barred doors of your ancient library. The sound of the barbarian hordes raging down upon you, ringing from outside. You know you don't have long. You break into a run. You have one last thing to do. You run past the ancient shelves, filled with all of your previous work. Tales of doppelgangers and dinosaurs, tree men and time travel, shark attack and your father's sword. You make it to your dais. With a shaking hand, you gather ink and quill, and you begin to write your final tale. The story of the end. You hear the final scream of the librarian guards as the barbarians smash inside. You do not know if they're here to steal your works or destroy them. You rush to try and finish this final entry. Will you ever tell another tale again? Or are you on a mystery quest?